Have you ever wondered what's in your water? I bet if you did some research, you'd be very surprised to find out how much chlorine and heavy metals are actually in tap water. Now, when I started gardening, I quickly realized how important water is to how the plant grows, survives, and thrives. Now, the first few years, I just used tap water, and that's perfectly fine. But like I said earlier, you have to know what's in the tap water. And one of the main things that's harmful to plants is chlorine. And unfortunately, nowadays, there's a lot of chlorine in our tap water. But the good news is you can let this bucket of water that you fill up to use sit out for 24 to 48 hours, and that chlorine will actually dissipate out of the water, and then it'll be good to use, right? Well, actually, you have to make sure that it's pH balanced before you give it to your plants. Now, what does pH balance mean? So pH stands for the potential hydrogen that's actually in the water. Now, the reason why this is important is because plants need the water and the medium to be a specific pH range in order for them to properly uptake the nutrients so they can grow. The main nutrients a plant needs to grow are things like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and a bunch of other micronutrients as well. Now, the range scale for pH goes anywhere from 0 to 15. Now, 0 to 6 is the low end, and that's going to be considered acidic. Right in the middle is neutral, which is 7, and then 8 to 15 is considered alkaline. That's going to be way too high. Another reason why pH is really important is because if you fall into this acidic or alkaline category, your plant can experience nutrient lockout where it's not able to uptake the proper nutrients it needs, and this will result in slow or stunted growth. And I promise you, you want to try to avoid this at all costs. If you look at this chart here, provided from a study done at Colorado State University, it indicates that these nutrients are properly taken up at an ideal range between 6.5 and 7.5. Now, if you're growing synthetically or organically, these ranges can vary slightly, so it's important that you do your research and find out what pH range works best for you. Now that we have a little bit of background on pH and why it's important to how the plant grows, how do we figure out what the pH balance is in our bucket of tap water? Well, it's simple. They make a meter for that. It's called a pH meter, coincidentally. These vary in price range, starting at really cheap for about $10, or you can spend over $100 on a Blue Lab instrument. Before you open up your pH pen and just dunk it in the bucket of water to figure this out, you have to make sure that pen is calibrated correctly. And they usually come with some solution dedicated for that brand, or some companies sell those separately. Either way, a calibrated pen is essential to know the exact pH balance of your water. And that was my daily routine every day for over 3 years. I'd get to the garden, first thing I'd do is grab my pH pen, make sure it was calibrated, and pH balance the water. I usually had to go down. Mine usually was alkaline, running almost 8.0 and over sometimes. And that just got tiring and cumbersome. And some of my favorite growers on YouTube were talking about reverse osmosis water, and they didn't have to pH balance their water. And that had me intrigued. Reverse osmosis is an advanced filtration system that uses multiple stages and multiple filters to filter out, some companies claim, up to 99% of impurities found in tap water. All you simply have to do is input these filtration system in between your water line and your spout. That way the water runs through the filters and then out your spout nice and clean. As you can imagine, there's a ton of different companies out there that make their own reverse osmosis system. Through my research, I came across this company called theperfectwater.com. A couple specific things about this company caught my eye. The first thing that I was looking for my system to have was a garden hose adapter. Now, this was important to me because the water line in my basement at the end of it has a garden spout, so that was essential in my system. The second thing that caught my eye is this specific system was called the Hydro Gardener Remineralizing Reverse Osmosis System. I was like, wait a second, I'm only using this reverse osmosis system for my garden. Let me check this out some more. I found out that this system removes over 98% of impurities, and then it also adds back in 15 to 30 parts per million of calcium and magnesium, producing pure mineral water with a neutral pH balance. What? Just hearing that, I was sold already. Then I found out with this specific design, they use modular filters, and the filter element and the filtering housing are all one unit, which makes this super easy when it comes time for your annual filter change. Speaking of filter changes, now these are rated for about 1 year or 2,500 gallons of water, whatever comes first. There's no tools required when it comes time to change. You just unplug it and go. There's no kind of permanent canisters. You're replacing the whole thing. Just plug that tube back in when it's time for that change. In order for this system to work, the water passes through 3 different filters and it'll produce 2 gallons of clean, purified water and waste 1 gallon of impurity water. This 2-to-1 ratio is considered highly efficient in the industry because there are some systems out there that require 4 gallons of water waste in order to produce 1 gallon of pure clean water. I tell you all of that to tell you this. I've been using the Hydro Gardener Remineralizing Reverse Osmosis System from theperfectwater.com for over a year now, and me nor my plants could be more happy with the water it produces. And I'm not joking either, I really do love this system. Not having to pH balance my water every day has been a major time saver in my daily routine. Nowadays, when I need to refill my water bucket, I start by grabbing one of these empty 5-gallon jugs and taking it over to my system. Before I fill up my bottle with the pure, clean, reverse osmosis water, I want to go through and show you how this works. Now I want to be clear, this is not a how to install, it's just the basic function of this unit. This brass pipe here is the main water line down here for my house, and like I said, it's connected to this blue spigot which controls the output flow of the water. To that, like I said, which is essential to my package, is this garden hose adapter right here. This garden hose adapter is connected to a nozzle that controls the water that moves through the tubing into the system. Right now you can see that it's in the off position, and that indicates no water is flowing through currently. All I have to do is switch this on or towards the tube, and then water will flow through my water line into this orange tube, and that's where it'll enter into the first filter. The first filter is going to filter out any sediments in the water. From there, it passes over into the carbon filter where all the carbon is removed. And from the carbon filter, the water is then passed into the artisan filter, and this is the filter that adds back in the calcium and magnesium. It feeds through this blue tube into our jug with pure, clean, reverse osmosis water. In this case, 5 gallons worth. And this takes about 45 minutes, but the longer that you use the filters, I have found that the longer the time takes. If you remember earlier, I said that for every 2 gallons of pure clean water it produces, it has to waste 1 gallon of the water with the impurities in it, and that's going to be done down through this red hose. I have my waste line connected to a PVC pipe on the floor, which allows the wastewater to flow to the main drain in my basement. After I collect my 5 gallons of pure clean water, I'm going to remove the fill hose and place that over a drain bucket just in case any drips out the top of it. Then I'm going to take my jug over to my water bucket. Now you might be wondering, why did I take the water from the jug and put it in the bucket? And that'd be a good question. Well, here's the answer. I like to add these things called air stones to my water for at least 24 hours before I water my plants. Now in this time, what's happening is air is traveling through this air pump down the tube into this air stone, and this air stone is full of tiny little holes, and that air is being pumped into the water and bubbles float to the top. While this is happening, it's adding oxygen to the water and circulating it at the same time. Now, as an organic gardener, my job is to create a perfect environment for my living soil battery so my plant can thrive at all times. And I promise you, if you take this extra step to add these air stones or add the oxygen to your water, I promise your plants will love you for it. This is how I do it. I plug in the air pump, take the 2 stones, drop them right in the middle. Each one of these are 2 inches wide by 4 inches tall, and then I crank this sucker up to high. And there's the bubbles. Like I said, ever since I switched over to using reverse osmosis water, not having to pH balance the water has not been an issue at all. From seedling to harvest, my plants are nice and green, never showing any sort of nutrient lockout. In the end, whatever water you choose to use in your garden is completely up to you. I just wanted to share with you my system and how it allows me to get the purest, cleanest water possible for my plants. If you want to pick up the same RO system that I'm using, of course you can get it from theperfectwater.com, but I have an Amazon link down below that'll take you right to it, and by using that link, you're directly supporting the channel. If you learned something about reverse osmosis water today, hit that like button. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel and let me know down in the comments, are you team tap or team RO water? Thanks for spending some time with me today, but I gotta get back to watering. Happy gardening.